Shalom and welcome to this Hebrew verses study. We are reading through Genesis, the book of Bereshit, as it's called in Hebrew, chapter 47. And I have a couple of special themes I want to talk about, exploring a couple of words in this lesson that we'll be reading from this chapter. So let's pray together and we will start reading. Abba, Father, thank you so much for your holy Torah, for your teachings. Thank you for these old stories that are also so new to us. Thank you that we have a relationship with you. Thank you for the meaning of your word. And thank you for your Ruach HaKodesh, for your Holy Spirit, who is always there teaching us and opening our minds to understand the scriptures. And thank you for how you breathe new life into our lives every day, and how your word is alive. And I pray that as we read together, we would indeed learn more of your Lashon HaKodesh, your holy language, and that we would also learn more about you. And I pray that we could grow spiritually, and that we could become better Talmidim, better disciples of Yeshua, that we could come closer to him as we read these ancient writings that he himself read, and that ultimately are all about him. And thank you that he is our derech, that he is our way to you, our Abba Father. And we praise your holy name for this opportunity to spend this time with you. So thank you. All right, so this is the book of Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 47, Mem Zayin, as you can see there. And let's just begin in verse 1. Vayavo, so and bode, and came. Yosef, it's Joseph. You probably figured that out. Vayaged, and he negaded, he told, le Pharaoh, so to Pharaoh. Vayomer, and he amard, said, Avi, my Av, my father. Ve'achai, and my achs, brothers. V'tzonam, and their tzon, their flocks. Uvkaram, so and their bakars, their herds. V'chol, and all. Asher, which lahem is literally is to them. In other words, it's theirs. Ba'u, all that's theirs. Ba'u, so they bode, they came. Me eretz, from the Eretz, the land of Canaan. V'hinam, so hine is look or behold. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in this chapter, actually, because there's an interesting variant usage of this word. But anyways, hine is like look, behold. So hinam is look they or behold they. It's like this conjunction of like hine and hem or them, So kind of creative. Anyways, v'hinam and look they be'eretz, they're in the land of Goshen. Verse 2. Umiktsei. Kind of an interesting usage of the word here. Like, okay, there are two like one letter prefixes on the front of this word, u and meh, from, and then the actual word here is kitsei, which means like the edge of something, from the edge of echav, so his achs, his brothers. Lekach, he took chamisha, 5. Anashim, so ishes, men. Vayatzi game. Really, it's kind of it's an interesting word, an unusual word. It basically means like to stand. Like, yeah. In fact, here we're going to be frequently consulting eSword here in this lesson. So let's do that right now with this word, and we can have a look at it together. All right. So there is our friendly neighborhood eSword, and let's have a look here at, so this is eSword, and then okay, here's NASB. Here's NASB plus. As you can see there, it says with Strong's numbers, very strong. So let's have a look here at this particular word. Okay, so look at in the NASB, it's translated as presented. So you mouse over it like this, and you can see that it says yetzag, and it means like to place in the sense of placing permanently, right? So just out of curiosity, let's see how it's translated in other places. So we're going to right click on the word. We're going to run a quick search on it. and it'll show us where it turns up in Scripture, right? So he set the rods. Let me leave with you some of the people. Set, presented, detained, set the sole of her foot, put a fleece of wool on the threshing floor. That's the Gideon story. Placed it in his house. Okay, so can you see this? Like, there are quite a few different words that are used here, but they're all related in terms of their meaning. This one's interesting. Like, expose her as on the day when she was born. Establish justice. All right, so it's like this word is only used like 15 times in the Tanakh. So it's actually a pretty rare word. And anyways, it's just interesting that this is the word that's used. I really have no big insight for you on this one. It's just like it's a rare word, right? Okay, anyway, so Vayatzi game, he yatzaged them, he like presented them. Lifnei, so that's like in front of, before. Pharaoh, verse 3. Vayomer, and Amard said, Paro, El, to Echav, his ach's brothers. Ma, what? Ma'asechem. So the verb asa means to do something. So ma'asa is a deed. Here we have ma'asechem. So like, what do you do? I guess is how we would often ask that in English, in the sense of like, what's your occupation, your career, what do you do for work? What do you do? Ma'asechem. Apparently this is a very old question that people ask each other. Vayomru, and the Amard said, El to Paro. Roe. Okay, so that's like a shepherd. Tzon, of flocks. Avadecha, are your aveds, your servants. Gam, also anachnu, us. Gam, also avotenu, so our avot. That's our avs, our fathers. Verse 4. Vayomru, and the Amard said, El to Paro. Lagul, so to gur. Now this word here, gul, this is one of the big words we're actually going to be exploring in this lesson. Gul. It has the sense of okay. Sometimes it's okay. You know what? Let's look at it and how it's translated in different translations, and it'll give you a pretty good sense of the word. So back to Esword we go, and we are in verse 4 here. So they said to Pharaoh, "We've come to what?" Here's how it's translated. Here's how it's translated in the New American Standard. Sojourn. All right. So let's hit compare here, and we'll look at how this is translated in some different Bibles, and then we're going to look at the actual Hebrew word, because there's something of an anomaly there. Okay. So complete Jewish Bible. We've come to live in the land. Sojourn. It's generally the sense is like living or sojourning. Okay. NRSV, reside as aliens, dwell temporarily in the Tree of Life version. All right. So that's the general sense of the word. Like to gul means to live somewhere in the sense of residing as an alien, dwelling temporarily. Like some of the older versions, like the King James, for instance, it's to sojourn. That's the idea. Now, from this verb gul, we get the Hebrew word ger. A ger in Judaism today is a convert, someone who's converted to Judaism, someone who is sojourning with the Jewish people, so to speak, who is cast in their lots with the people of Israel. In the olden days, a ger was basically someone who had come from another country or whatever and moved to Israel. So you were like an alien basically, or the older English word would be a stranger. And God talked quite a few times in the Torah about the ger, and He really cared about the ger and about their welfare. Okay, so there's some laws in the Torah about treating a ger with kindness and with equality and whatnot. All right, now I want to show you something interesting about this word. If you have a look at this here, here's the Strong's number, 1481, and then it has an A next to it. Why does it have that little letter? Because there are a couple different ways that this word is used. It has different nuances. And so there's this is the first meaning A, but then there are also meanings, at the very least there's a meaning B, and maybe there are more. So tell you what, let's do a search on this word, and we'll have a look at how else it's used and translated, all right? So firstly, we'll search 1481a, and we'll see how it turns up. Okay. So as you can see, this verb go, it has the sense of, sojourning or living somewhere is generally how it is rendered in the New American Standard Bible. All right. In fact, yeah, they're pretty consistent with that one. Sojourning. Here we have the word, reside. A couple times it's used there. Live as aliens. Now, the thing is, nobody uses the word sojourn. You know what I mean? Seriously, who uses the word sojourn in regular English? It's not a word, okay, I'm from Canada, but I live in the United States, and just finally got my green card in this last year, actually. And but I don't say that I'm sojourning in the United States. You know what I mean? I would say I'm a permanent resident, yeah. Or I'd say, I'm visiting or I'm living here, from Canada, but I don't say I'm sojourning. Anyways, here's some other, okay, so dwells, abide. Okay, so anyway, so these are some different ways that this word is translated. All right, now let's have a look at meaning B. So we're going to hit B, and then we're going to search this word. All right, look. There are not nearly as many times that this word is used with this specific meaning, but here's the sense of it. To attack, to launch an attack, to band themselves together, to stir up wars, fiercely assail, right? So there's something about, if you're living, if you're from one country and you're living in another country, as an alien or a stranger or an outsider, it's somehow related to being attacked or to attacking. So what's the connection there? Well, sometimes if a large number of people come from one country into another, the people in the country into which they're coming can feel attacked, maybe. Now let's look at the third meaning of this word, because this is going to give you the fuller sense of it. See, there's a third meaning. See, fear. This word has the sense of being in fear. Let's see, being afraid, dread. All right, stand in awe. It's the word how it's translated there, but that's not, generally. It has the sense of fear or dread. So what's the connection? The connection is, if you're a ger, if you're coming from one group of people into another group of people, and you're the minority, then you the very word to do that, the verb gur, it has the sense of living in fear, specifically fear of attack. You're scared that they're going to attack you, and indeed that has definitely been the experience of the Jewish people in exile. And just in general, that's the experience if you're a minority living in a majority country or society. You have this underlying fear that you may be attacked. And that was especially true in the ancient world. And that's still true today in countries that are not governed by law and order to the same degree. All right, and there's a reason that we're talking about all this, okay? So we're talking about this verb gur. Okay, now we're going to keep reading, and we're going to come back to this theme a little bit later. So just keep that in mind for now, all right? We could actually. And there we are. Apparently we've been studying for almost 14 minutes. So if you've made it this far with me, mazel tov. All right. So, and if you haven't made it this far, then you are missing out, because you're not getting to hear me address you. All right. So verse 4, lagul, to sojourn, ba'aretz, in the eretz, the country, banu. So we've bowed, we've come. Ki, because ain, there isn't mireh. So there isn't pasture. Remember the verb to shepherd or to pasture? It was used a little bit earlier when they said we're shepherds, right here. Roe tzon. So like the Lord is my shepherd, Psalm 23, that's in Hebrew that says Adonai Roi, he's my roeh. So this word has the sense of pasturing or pastoring. That's where we get the English word pastor from. A pastor is a shepherd, someone who ideally helps the sheep to find pasture and to stay in the pasture. Okay, so anyways, there isn't mereh, there isn't pasture. Man, you know what? If you say the word pasture too many times, it starts to sound really funny. Anyways, letzon, for the flocks. Asher which la'avadecha are your evids, your servants. Ki, because chaved. Okay, now this verb here, kavad, it means to be heavy. And okay, and here it has the sense of what's heavy. Let's keep reading and we'll find out. Hara'av. Okay, the verb ra'av means to be hungry. Ara'av is a famine, a hunger. So the famine is kaved ba'eretz, in the land of Canaan. All right. Now, of course, so literally, it's like the famine is heavy. It has the sense of something that's really like intense. And what's interesting in this is also the root of the Hebrew word for the glory of God. God's glory is His kavod. So maybe that gives you a bit of a better sense of the glory of God. It's like the weight of His presence. It's the heaviness of who He is. It's an intense thing. So that's like the glory of God. It means intensity, basically. Maybe that helps you to understand the glory of God better just from reading about this Hebrew word used to describe the famine. Anyways, so it's heavy in the land of Canaan, ve'ata, and now yeshvu. So literally, will yashav, will sit, or will live or dwell. And here it has a sense of like may, not like we will, but may we. So yeshvu, may they dwell. Na, please, avadecha. So your avids, your servants. May your servants live, ba'eretz, in the land of Goshen. Verse 5. Vayomer, and Amardan said, Paro, el to Yosef. Lemol, to Amar, say, Avicha, your Av, father, V'achecha, and your Achs, brothers, Ba'u, they've bowed, come, Elecha, to you. Eretz, the land of Mitzrayim, Egypt. I think you know that one. Lefanecha, so, like before you, he is like b'meitav. So tov is good. So meitav is like the best of ha'aretz, the land. So the best of the land lies before you is how we could phrase that. Hoshev, so cause to yeshav, to sit. In other words, like settle. Et avicha, your av, father. Ve'et, indicating who else is being yeshaved, caused to sit. Achecha, your achs, brothers. Yeshvu, so literally they will yeshav, they'll sit or live. Ba'eretz, in the land of Goshen. Ve'im, and if yadata, so if you yada, if you know. V'yesh, and there is balm in them. So if you know anyone amongst them. Anshe chayil. I want to explore this word with you here because it's a very interesting one. So, ish is a man. Anashim are men. Anshe is the plural construct. So men of chayil. Now, what is chayil? Let's have a look at this here, because it's really interesting how this word is used throughout Scripture and how it's translated. All right. So let's have a look here. Okay, so here it's translated as capable. Chayil is translated as capable, and this is an interesting word because if you celebrate Shabbat, if you keep a Sabbath and you pray the traditional Jewish prayers, then on Friday night, if you're a husband, then you say the poem in Proverbs 31. At the end of the book of Proverbs, it talks about like the wife. It's like this poem to the wife, a great wife, and in Hebrew that's an Eshet Chayil. And so it's really interesting how this word is used because, Eshet is like, an Isha, so a woman or a wife, and then Chayil is this word, so like a capable wife. But it's a really big word, and I'll give you an example here. So let's right click on it and just have a quick look at this here together. All right, so it can have the sense of wealth, capable, army. Isn't that interesting? Like even in modern Hebrew today, like a Chayil is a soldier. So it's like Proverbs 31, the Eshet Chayil, the excellent wife. It's about like the soldier wife is another way of reading that actually. So to be able, perform valiantly. That's an interesting way that's used there. Army, valiant, wealth, substance. It's an interesting way of translating it. Okay, I'm mostly saying valiant here, hey? Excellence. There we are. You're a woman of excellence. All right. So now that you know, though, that word for excellence there, it has the sense of like an army or wealth or valiance. Or here we have strength. Valor. Valor is an awesome word. Let's just keep scanning this here. We'll see if there are any other usages. There is another way we could do this actually. And you know what? Why don't I show this to you? It's can be handy, because this is like, sometimes you kind of it can get old fast. If there are like 300 usages of a word, and you want to see all the different ways it's translated, doing it this way can get old fast. So I'm going to show you an app that I have on my phone that can be really handy, and that is in fact really handy for me. So consider this like a little tutorial, for in-depth Bible study or whatever. So here's my phone, and those are the apps on my phone. And I'm going to see if I can show you one specific one here. I'm going to have to get this up pretty close, and it might not work, but hey, whatever. All right, so, oh my goodness, everything is backwards. Okay, so check it out, right? Can you see right there? Strong's with NASB. Sorry, it's not focusing super well, but whatever. It says Strong's with NASB, trust me. And so anyways, I'm going to show you this app because it's really handy dandy. So let's say we're going to go to Genesis chapter 47. So I'll bring up Genesis chapter 47 and just whatever verse 1. Okay, so there's the text of Genesis chapter 47, all right? And now all of the words are underlined. And so let's say that so let's say I'm gonna touch a word and click on it, and so we're gonna touch on the word capable. All right, so I touched on the word capable. Can you see this? Sorry, again, it's not super. Okay, see it there, capable, and then see on the top it says define and it says strong. So I'm gonna click on Strong's, and it's gonna show me the word and some handy little features of the word. Okay, can you see that there? Like the transliteration. Sorry, it's not super visible. I know. Whatever. I wasn't actually going to do this, but I just kind of go with it when I'm teaching. Phonetic spelling, parts of speech, and then okay, this is what's super handy: usage by word. So it shows you all the different ways this word is translated, and then it shows you how many times it's used. All right. So I don't know if you can see that super well. Here, let me see if I can get it closer and see if it'll focus. No, I don't think it's going to happen, is it? Hello. Anyways, I'll just read them to you, okay? So this is how the word is translated. Army, it's translated army 75 times. Valiant, 44 times. Wealth, 25 times. Valor, 18 times. And then I'll just read you the other ones. I'm not going to tell you how many times. It's like 6 or under. Valiantly, able, capable, excellent, retinue, strong, troops, capability, elite, goods, great, mighty, nobly, powerful, substance, warriors. All right. So anyways, all of these words here, chayal, that's how it's the word chayal, that's what it means. So maybe that gives you a better sense of Proverbs 31, where it talks about the eshet chayal, the excellent wife. It's a great thing. There's some very powerful descriptions of woman in general, and then of the role that a woman fills as a wife. In Proverbs 31, just the word itself, that it would use the word chayal to describe a woman, to describe a wife, is very powerful, because it means army, it means warrior, it means valiant, it means strong, mighty, powerful. It means a lot of very great things. So so I really appreciate that too. I have 2 daughters. They're 8 years old and 2 years old, and I love how the scriptures talk about women, and it's just a great thing to aspire to, and to speak into the women in your life, whether that be a wife or a daughter or a niece or a mother, or just your fellow disciples, your talmidot, who are women. Just encourage them with that, to be chayalim, and because that's who they are and that's what they are. So anyways, that's one of the things I wanted to look at with you in this lesson. Let's get back to reading here. So here he's talking. So he says, if you have if there are any anshe chayal, any men who are chayal, and here it has the sense of capable, in your midst, v'sam tam, and so put them, seem them, put them, sarei, so as sars, that has a sense of like leaders or someone in charge, mikneh, like flocks, all on asher, that li, are mine. Verse 7, vayaveh. So, and brought Yosef at, indicating who he brought, Yaakov, That's Jacob. Aviv, his father. Vayami dehu. So he amaded him. He stood him. Lifnei, in front of Pharaoh. Vayivarech, so and baraked and blessed Yaakov. At, indicating who he blessed, Paro. Very powerful. Jacob blesses Pharaoh. The book of Hebrews points out that the lesser is blessed by the greater. Verse 8, Vayomer, and Amard said, Paro, El to Yaakov. Kama, so how many? Yamei, so are the yoms of the days of. Shnei, the shanaz of the years of. So how many are the days of the years of? Chayacha. So your chayim, your life. How old are you? Verse 9. Avayomer, and Amard said, Yaakov, El to Paro. Yamei, the days of. Shnei, the years of. Mugurai. This is my my sojournings. Remember the verb gul? It means to sojourn, to live somewhere, to dwell somewhere temporarily, or to live in a country as an alien, whatever. So he uses this word, the days of the years of my sojournings. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this word in just a moment. Shloshim, so shalosh is 3, shloshim in the plural is 30, uma'at, so and mea, 100, shana, so 30 and 130 years. Ma'at, many. Now this is interesting here because we have ma'at, which means like 100, and then ma'at, which means not many. So there may actually be a little bit of wordplay there. I love wordplay, so that is something I appreciate. He's saying 100 years, I'm over a centenarian, but it's not much. Get it? Ma'at, 100, ma'at, not much. V'ra'im, okay, ra is like bad or evil. So not many, v'ra'im and bad. Hayu have been. Yamei, the days of Shnei, the years of Chayai, my life. Velo hisigu, and I haven't yasaged, I haven't it's like to attain to. At Yamei, the days of Shnei, the years of Chayei, the lives of Avotai, my fathers. I haven't lived as long as them. B'yimei, in the yoms of the days of Megorehem. So they're Megors. All right. So now that we've looked at this, and that's translated as sojournings. All right. So now I want to actually look at this word with you because this is interesting. Jacob describes his life as like a sojourn, so to speak. He describes the lives of Abraham and Isaac as their experience in this world is like sojourning, and that's a very meaningful metaphor and picture for life. And of course, these are our spiritual ancestors. For some of us, they're literally our physical ancestors. But for all of us, as Talmidim, disciples of Yeshua, they're our spiritual ancestors. The patriarchs and matriarchs of this big family, and also our faith. And so it's meaningful to look at how they viewed the world, how they saw their own lives, and described their spiritual experiences. And this is how he describes it. He describes it as a sojourn, as a journey. So let's have a look at that together. The first thing I want to do with you is just once again look this up in Strong's. Look at how this word is used throughout scriptures. Okay, so firstly, sojourning right here. All right, let's look at this verse and compare it. Okay, so we have this word sojourning. How is this translated in some different translations? That did not work. Let's go back for 1 second. Okay. Sojourning. Maybe if we actually click on verse 9, it'll show us verse 9. It's interesting. Funny how that works, eh? All right, so verse 9. Sojourning. Ooh, I love this. King James, pilgrimage. Take note of that, all right? Because this is how they describe their lives. Sojourning, pilgrimage. Okay, check it out. NIV also is pilgrimage. Looks like that's generally how it's translated. All right, so that's very interesting. All right, now let's go back to NASB here, and let's look at how this word is translated throughout Scripture. Right, so it doesn't actually turn up that many times, only 11 times, and I want to show you one specific usage of this word here. All right, so usually it has the sense of sojourning in the New American Standard. But, okay, right here it has the sense of dwelling. This is beautiful. In Psalm 119, it says, your statutes are my songs and the house of what? My pilgrimage. Right? So, let's explore that concept together a little bit. It's very meaningful that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, they saw their lives as a journey. They saw themselves as pilgrims on a pilgrimage. Like this is a big thing. Is that how you see your life? What does that mean? Well, one of the things it means to me is that I'm going somewhere, and I haven't gotten there yet. So I'm on a journey through life, and I haven't arrived at the destination. And guess what? You're not going to arrive at the destination in this life. We're going to look at a verse that suggests that from the book of Hebrews in a moment. But okay, for some of if you've taken a road trip before, if you've gone on a family vacation, then you probably figured out that some people are more focused on the destination. They just want to get there. So they're focused on the traffic and how many miles per hour they're going. How short can we make the bathroom stops? Let's get there. Other people are more focused on just they're more in the moment and they're enjoying the trip, and they're just like, wow, let's pull over and read that historic marker, or let's go look around at the neat stuff that they sell in this gas station, because every gas station sells really neat stuff, except they all sell the same stuff. Anyways, but you get it, right? So this is interesting, because if you live your life though with that mentality of let's just get there, basically you're just gonna get to the last day of your life and be like, oh shoot, I just wasted my life and now I'm gonna die. Versus really learning to stay in the moment and live in the now, and really just savor all the experiences and enjoy them. There's a real peace of mind in that. There's a real freedom in that, and there's a real meaning in that. And this is one of the lessons that this chapter teaches us. It's one of the lessons that we really get from the lives of our spiritual ancestors, the patriarchs and matriarchs of our faith. So just to remember that, every day we're on a journey, and we're not going to get there in this life. And why do I say that? Why do I say we're not going to get there in this life? I'm going to show you a scripture here that talks about that. Let's see if we can pop over to it here. Okay, Hebrews chapter 11. It's a great chapter, and it talks about these things. Okay, here's an example. Verse 8. By faith Abraham, when he was called, obeyed by what? Going out to a place which he was to receive for inheritance, and he went out not knowing where he was going. Abraham didn't know where he was going. He was on a journey, and it didn't even know where it was going to take him. By faith he lived as what? As a ger, as an alien, in the land of promise, as in a foreign land, dwelling in tents. The modern equivalent of that would probably be living in a camper trailer, and living in an RV, which I happen to. I'm a minimalist, and I do live full-time in an RV by choice, so I can appreciate this. Living in tents, living in RVs with Isaac and Jacob, fellow heirs of the same promise. For he was looking for the city which has foundations. So he was looking for something. So this idea of life being a journey, it has this, there's this sense that you don't even totally know where it's going to end up, what the destination is. There's a sense of mystery about that, and that's a good thing. You're looking for something. It has the sense of looking. So if you've ever felt in life you're deep in your soul you're longing for something and you can't even put your finger on it, or you want something and you can't even figure out exactly what it is, be comforted by that. You're looking for something. You must be a true son or a true daughter of Abraham and Sarah. Read on. All these died in faith without receiving the promises, but having seen them and having welcomed them from a distance, and having confessed that they were what? They were strangers. They were gers, there's that word, and exiles on the earth. For those who say such things make it clear that they're what? They're seeking a country of their own. Right? So there it is again. It's they were looking for something. They were seeking something. They never quite fit in. They were never able to really settle down and just belong. And that's why they desired something better, a better country, a heavenly one. So anyways, just if you don't feel like you fit in, if you feel like you're longing for something and you don't even know what it is, you're just dissatisfied, if you feel like you're going somewhere and you don't even exactly know yet where you're going, like, just be comforted by that. You're in good company. It's part of the spiritual life. It's part of this journey, this relationship with God that we're experiencing. That is depicted by a journey. Okay, let's talk a little tiny bit about this one specific nuance of this word, pilgrims. It's like we're pilgrims in this world. We're going on a pilgrimage. And let's just have a quick look together at Wikipedia and what it has to say about pilgrims. Okay, so here's pilgrim. A pilgrim, from the Latin peregrinus. By the way, this is also from which we get the word peregrine, like a peregrine falcon. So if you like peregrine falcons, then cool. That's what pilgrims are. Is a traveler, literally one who has come from afar, who's on a journey to a holy place. I really love that, the idea that a pilgrim is someone who's on a journey to a holy place. Typically, this is a physical journey, often on foot, to some place of special significance to the adherent of a particular religious belief system. Okay, so that's, I like that. And then let's look at one more example of this. Pilgrimage itself. A pilgrimage is a journey or search. See, there's that word search, like if you're seeking for something of moral or spiritual significance. Typically, it's a journey to a shrine or other location of importance to a person's beliefs and faith. Although sometimes it can be a metaphorical journey into someone's own beliefs. So that's important too. Not just that we're on a physical journey, but this is like a metaphorical journey into your own beliefs. Anyways, that's about all I wanted to look at. There's like nothing really, really huge there, but it kind of helps us to understand the sense of pilgrimage a little teeny tiny bit better. And just maybe that's meaningful to you, that you are a pilgrim and that you're on a journey. Okay, so let's get back to our text here. Now that we've seen how Jacob described himself and also his own dad and his grandpa and their lives as being a journey. Verse 10. Vayivarech and bracht and blessed Yaakov. So he's the one doing the blessing. At, indicating who got blessed, Paro. Vayetze, and he went out. Me'lifnei, so from before. Pharaoh, verse 11. Vayoshev, so and seated, literally, in other words, settled. Yosef, at, indicated who was seated. Aviv, his Av, father. Va'at, indicating who else was seated. Echav, his Achs, brothers. Vayitain, and he natand, he gave lahem to them, achuzah. So the verb achaz means to grab or to hold on to. It has the sense of like in English we have the word holdings, which is similar. It's like a property, possession, something that you own. Achuzah, be'eretz, in the land of Mitzrayim. B'meitav, in the best of. Remember, tov is good, so meitav is like the best of ha'aretz, the country. Be'eretz, in the land of Ramses, so that's Ramses. Kasher, just as Tziva commanded Pharaoh. Verse 12. Vayichal kel, means like to provide for and to sustain. Yosef, at. Aviv, his Av, father. Ve'at, indicating who else was being provided for and sustained. Echav, his Ach's brothers. Ve'at, and who else was being, this word, they were being provided for. Kol, all. Beit, so the bait of the house or household of Aviv, his Av, father. Lechem, bread. Lefi, okay, now your pa is your mouth. So fi is like a mouth of. So lefi, here it means according to, but literally means to the mouth of. Hataf. A taf is like an infant, a toddler, a little one. So according to the mouths of the little ones, he gave them food. Verse 13. V'lechem, and bread. Ein, there wasn't, bechol, in al ha'aretz, the land. Ki, because chaved, heavy. Hara'av was the famine. Me'od, very. Vatela, and languished. This is a really interesting word. It's like not used very often at all. Laha, and it's actually related to, very closely related to the verb behind the Hebrew name for Leah. Leah's name has the sense of like being like tired out or exhausted, or here it has the sense of languishing. Vatela, Eretz, the land of Mitzrayim. Egypt, so it was languishing. Ve'eretz, and the land of Canaan. Pnei, from before Hara'av, the famine. Verse 14. Vayilaket, and lakated, and collected. Yosef, at, indicating what was collected. Kol, all. Hakesef, so so the silver or the money. Hanimtza, that was matzad, found. Ve'eretz, in the land of Mitzrayim. Uve'eretz, in the land of Canaan. Bashever. Okay, so shever, it's from the verb shavar, which means to shatter or something. It has the sense of grain, because, what do you do with grain? You grind it up, you kind of shatter it, so to speak, into flour. So shever, it's kind of like, it's an alternative usage of the word. All right, so bashever, the grain, asher, which ham they shovrim, so they were like buying the grain. Vayave, and he brought Yosef at Hakasef, the silver, Beita, so into the bite of the house of. Here on the end indicates direction, so towards, into the house of Pharaoh. Verse 15. Vaitom. Okay, so the verb here is tamam. It means to be finished or completed. So vaitom, and was finished. Hakasef, the silver. Me'eretz, from the land of Mitzrayim. Ume'eretz, and from the land of Canaan. Vayavo'u, and Bod came. Chol al Mitzrayim, El to Yosef. Lemol, to Amar, say, Hava, so bring, Lanu, to us, Lechem, bread. Velama, and why, Namut, should we die, Negdecha, so neged you, across from you. Ki, because a face, there isn't. Okay, like in Hebrew numbering system, Ephes is 0, so a face, like there's 0 kasef, there's 0 silver left, no money. Verse 16. Vayomer, and said, Yosef, Havu, bring, miknechem. So that's like your mikneh, your flocks. Ve'etna, and I will natan, I will give. You know what? Okay, here, this is a problem, because the verb kana means to buy something, like to acquire it, to get it. So mikneh can have the sense of like an acquisition, or like your possessions in general, or it can mean flocks. And let's have a quick look at this here. I assume it means flocks, but I don't actually know off the top of my head. So verse 16. Let's go back to our text. Okay, yeah, here it's translated as livestock. You can see that there. I'm kind of curious, though, if that's like generally how it's. Okay, see, so just to confirm that it's from the verb to buy something, property. Oh, so we're not going to go into any more detail on that. Okay, so they brought. Where are we here? Okay, ve'etna, and I will give lachem to you, b'miknechem, in your livestock, im afes, so in exchange for your livestock, I'll give to you. Im afes, so if there isn't any kasef, silver. Verse 17, vayaviu, and they brought at miknehem, their livestock, el Yosef, to Joseph, vayitain, and tinatan, gave laem, to them, Yosef, lechem, bread, ba'susim, so for the suses, the horses, uv miknei, and for the like livestock of hatzon, so that's the flocks, like of sheep and goats, uv miknei, and in the livestock of habakal, so that's like the herds, for instance, of cattle, uva chamorim, and for the chamors, the donkeys, vainahalem, and he nahaled them. This is a really interesting word. It has the sense of like, feeding them, but it has the sense of okay, it's related to this. Let's put it this way: it's related to the Hebrew word for river, which is nahar, like the Euphrates. So, like the Euphrates, for instance, is referred to as the nahar prat. Okay, and so, anyways, nahal, like resh and lamed, have very similar sounds in Hebrew. In fact, they're almost indistinguishable, especially the way Hebrew is pronounced today in Israel, like la and ra, for instance, lamed and resh, respectively. Anyways, so that's the word. It's a really interesting word used for like feeding them. In fact, let me show you like just how else this word is used in Scripture and how it's translated. Okay, so where are we here? I'm having a hard time finding it. Here, let's have a go. Okay, help me out here. Let's make this little groupie project. Okay, so Vainalem, where are we here? Right here. So this is verse what? Verse 17. Okay. Okay, he fed them right there. 50:95. Check this out. It's a really interesting way the word is used. It's kind of surprising. Maybe there's a deeper meaning there, Definitely the life of Joseph is very prophetic of the Messiah and also of some Acharit Hayamim, like some end of days stuff, Okay, look at proceed at your leisure. It has to lead. It has the sense of leading or guiding, but in a gentle way. Okay, here it's translated gently lead, for example. So yeah, proceeding at your leisure, kind of like that. So this is the only time where it has the sense of feeding. It has the sense of leading or guiding gently. Kind of like how a river flows, So there could definitely be there could be a reason this word is used. It could be a prophetic picture, like I said, of Joseph being a picture of Messiah, and then also maybe a picture of some end of days stuff. All right. Anyway, so he fed them, balechem, with lechem bread, bechol, for all mikneim, their livestock, bashana, so in the shana, the year, hahi, that, verse 18, vatitom, and was tamamed, and was finished, hashana, the year, hahi, that, vayavo'u, and they came, elav, to him, bashana, in the shana, the year, hashenit, so shnaim is 2, hashenit is the second, vayomru, and the amar, they said, lo, to him, lo, so the negative, nechached, so we won't, chachad, we won't kind of hide or deny, withhold. Okay, and by the way, here, lo, this is interesting. We have it's pronounced the same way, but it's spelled differently and has different meanings. So lo here with a vav means towards. Vayomru lo, and they said towards him or to him. Lo, and then here lo with an aleph means the negative not. So these words are right next to each other. So I wanted to point that out to you. Lo nechached, we won't whatever. Hide me adoni, from my adon, my master. Ki, that kiim, that Tom is finished. Hakasaf, the silver. U miknei, and the livestock. Habema, of animals. El, to adoni, my master. Lo nish'al, so there isn't sha'ar, there isn't laughter remaining. Lifnei, before adoni, my adon, master. Bilti, except for im gviatenu, so our gvia is our bodies. V'admatenu, and our adama, our ground, our land. Verse 19. Lama, why? Namut, should we die? La'enecha, literally to your eyes, Why should we die before you? Gam, also anachnu, it's us. Gam, also admatenu, our adama, our ground, our property. Kane, so you kana, you buy, otanu, us, buy us. Va'et, and admatenu, or adama. Balachem, for lechem, bread. V'neya, and we will be, anachnu, us. V'admatenu, and our property. Avadim, aveds, servants. Le Pharaoh, so to Pharaoh. V'ten, and Yunatan, you give zera, seed. V'nechya, and we will chaya, we will live. V'lo namut, and we won't die. V'hadama, and the ground. Lo tesham, it won't be made desolate. Shamem in Hebrew is desolate. Verse 20. Vaiken, so and kanad, and bought Yosef et kol, all admat, so that's the adama of all the ground, the soil, the land of Mitzrayim. Le Pharaoh, for Pharaoh. Ki, because machru, so machard, sold. Mitzrayim, ish, each man. Sadeu, his sadeh, his field. Ki, because chazak, that's the word for strong. Aleim, on them. Hara'av, was the famine. This is interesting. Earlier, the word used to describe the famine was kaved, heavy. Here, the word is chazak, strong. So again, this gives us a bit of a sense of the glory of God. The word chazak is a synonym for this word that means to be heavy, from whence the Hebrew word for the glory of God is derived. So chazak aleim hara'av vatahi, and became haaretz, the land, lefaro, pharaohs. Verse 21. Ve'et ha'am, and the am, people, he'avil. So the verb avar means to cross over, to go beyond, to pass through or pass by or whatever. Oto, so them, he moved them basically. Le'arim, so to ours, to cities. Miktsei, so from the katsa, like the edge of Gavul, the boundary of Mitzrayim. V'ad, and to katseu. It's katsa, it's edge. So from one end of the country to the other, he moved everybody into cities because of this massive famine, and so they could get fed in exchange for food to eat, so they could survive. And man, I wonder how much this is a picture of like something in the Acharit Hayamim, the end of days in the future. You have this like cataclysm, so to speak. You have this massive famine. People are willing to do anything just to stay alive, so they sell themselves and everything they have, including their property and their rights, to the government, and they're all moved into cities. Verse 22. Rak, however, admat, so the adama of the property of HaKohanim, the Kohens, the priests, lo kana, he didn't buy. Ki, because chok, so there was like a, now this is interesting because a chok is like a law, and I have no idea why I'm wearing a suit jacket right now, except that it looks cool because it's actually really hot in here. So anyways, let's just skip that and go without it. All right, so so anyways, a chok is like a law. The plural is like chukim. You might be familiar with that word because it's one of the words used to describe like the law of God. So anyways, we have chukim, and then so here we have chok, which is like a law, but here it has the sense of like allotment. Okay, there was an allotment, lakohanim, to the priests. May ate from Paro, Pharaoh. Ve'achlu, and the achal, they ate at chukam, they ate their allotment, they ate their law. Asher, which Natan, he gave laem, to them. Paro, all Paro. End of sentence. All can, therefore, lo machru, so they didn't machar, they didn't sell. Et admatam, their adamah, their property. And I wanted to show you something here because this is really interesting. It's an interesting word. It's like the food. It was almost like their daily bread, so to speak. Their allotment of food from Pharaoh. It's referred to as their chok. And like I said, that's also the Hebrew word for law. And let's look at this real quick in Esord, which maybe I should look at which verse it is first. Okay, verse 22. Okay, so here, allotment. And you can see it's like used a bunch of times. And I'll show you how let's just have a quick look at how it's used and translated throughout Scripture. Okay, so this is actually the first time it's used in the Torah. That's notable. First mention, required amount, ordinance, statute, and then a portion. Right, so you get the idea. Now, what's interesting about this is when Franz Delitzsch, very well-known Christian Hebrew scholar from the 1800s, when he translated the New Testament into Hebrew, it's interesting how he translated the Lord's Prayer in the book of Matthew. I wanted to show that to you. So let's go there together. So here is, as you can see, HaBesorah, the gospel or the good news, HaKadosha, that's holy, Al-Pi, according to Matthew, Perek Vav, so Matthew chapter 6. So you have the Lord's Prayer here, as it's traditionally called. And I wanted to show you one specific thing here. Okay, so this is a little bit small. Okay, so in verse, where are we here? Verse, where he says, "Give us this day our daily bread." I'm going to show you how that's translated in verse 11 here. Et lechem, so there's bread. Chukenu, so there's that word chok, which is like a portion or an allotment. So lechem, so that's kind of a Hebrew phrase. It's in traditional Jewish prayers also. Lechem chukenu, so like our allotted bread. Ten lanu, so give to us hayom today. So anyways, just wanted to kind of point out to you how that phrase from the Torah made its way into traditional Jewish prayers and also into this Hebrew version of the Lord's Prayer. Let's get back to our text here. Where did we finish off? Okay, verse 23. Vayomer, and said Yosef el to ha'am, the people, hen. So it's like another form of hine. Look, kaniti, I bought etchem, you, hayom, today, ve'et admatchem, and your adama, your land, lefaro, for Pharaoh. Hey. Now, this is a word that's only used once in Scripture right here. And, it is used in one other place, sorry. Hey, it means the same thing as hine. Look, hey. And I love that because, in English, we say hey. And it means, hey, look, behold. Of course, we would never say behold, but hey basically means behold. And so, in Hebrew we have hine, that's usually the word for behold, but here we have hey. And it means, hey. So that's kind of fun. Hey is the same in both Hebrew and English. So hey, look, lachem, so is to you, or you have zera, seed, uzratem, so you zara, you sow, et ha'adama, the soil, verse 24. V'haya, and it will be, ba tevuot, so in the harvest, unatatem, and you shall natan, give, chamishit, so chamesh is 5, chamishit is a fifth, le faro, ve'alba, and 4, hayadot. Okay, a yad is literally a hand, but it means like a ton of things in Hebrew. This is an example. It's like, four, like the other four parts. That's 80%. Yeah, will be lachem, for you, lazera, so for seed, hasadeh, for the field, ul achalchem, and for you to achal, eat, v'la asher, and to those who bevatechem are in your bites, your houses, v'la echol, and to achal, eat, letapchem, so for your tafs, your little ones. Verse 25. Vayomru, and the Amard said, He chayitanu, you've kept us alive, you've helped us survive, chaya, to live. Nimtza, so may we matzah, may we find chen, favor or grace. Ba'enei, in the eyes of Adoni, my Adon master. V'hainu, and we will become avadim, so eveds lefaro, to Pharaoh. Verse 26. Vayasem, and he put ota, it, Yosef, lechok, as a law. So there's how this word is usually used. Remember earlier, it had the sense of like an allotment, the allotted portion of food for the priests. So anyways, here it has the regular sense of law. He made it a law, ad, until hayom, so like the day, hazeh, this, in other words, today, till this day. All over Adamat, the Adamah of the land of Mitzrayim. Lefaro, for Pharaoh, lechomesh. This is like a variant of chamesh, 5, and it basically means, a fifth. Rak, however, Admat, so the Adamah of the land of Hakonim, the priests, levadam, alone, lo haita, didn't become lefaro, so for Pharaoh, or didn't become Pharaoh's. Verse 27, look, we're almost done. Hang in there with me. Let's finish this together. Verse 27, Vayeshav, so and Yeshaved, and sat or lived, Yisrael, Be'eretz, in the land of Mitzrayim, Be'eretz, in the land of Goshen, Vayeyachazu, and he achazed, it's like he possessed, it, Vayifru, so and he parad, he was fruitful, Yilbu, and they ravad, like they multiplied, increased numerically. Meod, very much. Verse 28. Oh, 1 second. Okay, there we are. Verse 28. Vayechi, and Chayad, and lived Yaakov be'eretz, in the land of Mitzrayim. Shva, that's 7. Esrei, that's 10. So Shva Esrei, 17 shana, years. Vayehi, and it was Yamei, so the yoms of the days of Yaakov. Shnei, the shanas of the years of Chayav, his life. Sheva, 7. Shanim, years. Ve'albaim, so Alba is 4, Albaim is 40, and 40 Uma'at, and so that's Mea, of 100 of Shana, years. So you do the math. 7 plus 40 plus 100. That's how long he lived. Verse 29. Vayikovu, so and karaved, and drew near. Yemei, so the yoms of the days of Israel. Lamut, to mut, die. Vayikra, and he karad, called Livno, to his ben, his son, LaYosef. Vayomer, and he amard said, lo, to him. Imna, if now, or if please, matzati, I've matzad, I found chen, that's like favor, grace, ba'inecha, in your eyes. Sim na, so sim is like put or place, na, please, yadcha, your yad, your hand, tachat, underneath yorechi, my, how's that translated? Under my thigh, I think. It's like from the verb to be like soft or tender. So kind of like your tender part of your body, soft part of your leg maybe. Let's look at how this translated. I'm kind of curious. This is an old custom that is no longer practiced in legal procedures and the swearing of oaths. Verse 29. Okay, under my thigh, yeah, that's the word there, thigh. Okay, so it can be a euphemism for, how does it say there? The generative parts. So there's some question there. When, my daughter Tirza, she's 8, when we read the scriptures together, we'll like read in Hebrew and translate together. We translate this word as bum, just for fun. Put your hand under my bum. All right, so that's, it's fun reading the Bible and translating it with kids, because you can take those liberties that you couldn't if you were like, let's say, translating the New American Standard Bible or something. Okay. Asita, so and you asa, you do, imadi, with me, chesed. This is like kindness, and it also has the sense of loyalty or devotion. And it's also like, it became the New Testament word for grace also. So it's like devout, like to treat someone graciously because you're devoted to them, or to be kind to them because you're loyal to them. Like that's the sense. Chesed, ve'emet, and truth in the sense of faithfulness. Faith, to be true to somebody, to be faithful to them. So let's just look real quick at how this couplet, chesed ve'emet, how it's translated in some different versions, because this couplet made its way into John chapter 1. Remember, it says like grace and truth were realized through Yeshua the Messiah. So this is definitely something that we experience in a special way through the relationship with God that we have through Yeshua the Messiah. So verse 29, let's have a quick look at that here. Okay. Okay, deal kindly and truly. It's kind of nice. Okay, deal with me in kindness and faithfulness. NLT is just treat me with unfailing love. NRSV, deal loyally and truly. All right, so you see there that chesed is the sense of loyalty. It's not just like random kindness to somebody. It's like kindness because you're like really loyal to that person. Show me faithful kindness. That's a nice translation. All right. So anyways, just remember again that this phrase, this couplet, chesed ve'emet, it's used to describe our experience through Yeshua Okay. All, so don't, na, please. Tikbarani, don't kavar me, don't bury me, b'mitzrayim, in Egypt. Verse 31. V'shachavti, and I will shachav, I will like lie down, im, with avotai, my avot, my fathers. Unasatani, and you will, so when I die, unasatani, so you shall nasami, carry me, mimitzrayim, from Egypt, ukavaltani, and kavar me, bury me, kavuratam, so in their kavura, in their grave where they're kavard, where they're buried. Vayomal, and Tiamard said, Anochi, I myself. It's kind of like an emphatic form of ani, like I, which is the regular word for me. Anochi, I myself, aseh, I will asa, I will do, che devarecha. So according to your devar, your word, verse 31. Vayomel, and Tiamard said, hishava. So it's like a shava, is like to swear an oath. Li, to me, vayishava, and he swore an oath, lo, to him. Vayishtachu. This is a really interesting word here. So the verb shacha means to get down low, basically. And it became the Hebrew word for worship. Vayishtachavu is to bow yourself down, to get down low, and that's like a physical posture that is a picture of worship, an expression of worship. So here we have vayishtachu, so like and bow down Yisrael, all on Rosh, the head of Hamitah, the bed. Now, what's interesting about this word here, mitah, is that when it's vowel pointed mitah, it means bed. However, it can also be vowel pointed as mateh, which means staff. So here's the question: did he bow in worship at the at the head of the bed, or did he kind of like bow down, or like in the sense of leaning, slumping, maybe even on the top of his staff? So is it mitah, bed, or is it rosh hamitah, the head of the bed, or is it rosh hamatah, the head of the staff? Because, as you probably know, in the original Torah scrolls, there wasn't any vowel pointing. So basically, it depended entirely on tradition. Now, what's interesting about this is, like in the Masoretic texts of the Torah that we have, it's vowel pointed as mitah, bed. But there is an alternate reading. In the Septuagint, in the Hebrew Bible, it was translated into Greek a couple hundred years before Yeshua. It's actually translated. This is Brenton. It's like as you can see there, Brenton's English Septuagint. This is a translation of the Septuagint in English. They translated it as staff, and Israel did reverence, leaning on the top of his staff. Now, why is this interesting? It's interesting because this is also the version that made its way into the New Testament. Interestingly enough, we already looked at Hebrews 11 and how it described Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and how they lived in RVs because they were travelers through this life and world. And what's interesting though is let's have a look here at Hebrews chapter 11 again, and notice something else. You probably already know where I'm going with this. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 21. By faith Jacob, as he was dying, blessed each of the sons of Joseph and worshipped, leaning on the top of his staff. So it's actually interesting because we have this reading in the Masoretic texts, the traditional Jewish texts, that he worshipped up, at the head of the bed or whatever. But actually, in the Septuagint, the Greek version, we have that, he worshipped leaning on the top of his staff, and this is also the reading that made its way into the New Testament. So not like I don't have a huge smashing insight for you there, but it's interesting from a textual perspective and just the history of the Bible and how things are translated, vowel pointed, read, etc. And that is the end of this Hebrew verses study. Thanks for joining me. It was fun. L'chaim, to life. Congratulations to us. And hopefully that was spiritually energizing for you. Hopefully this was a quality experience, just studying the Torah together, talking about God and the things of God, talking about our lives as journeys, and just hopefully, and learning some Hebrew, of course. So thanks again for joining me, and I can't wait to have you join me for our next Hebrew verses study.